Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show.
If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio.
Don't miss Lone Star Community Radio on TV and YouTube. Our talk show and music shows are featured on Our City TV, Suddenlink Channel 12, and have their own YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with posted shows and comment on them below the video.
You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio, a 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Legal Connection with Toni and Cheryl. Toni, Lynn Collins, and Cheryl Ellsworth Jahani. I'm Cheryl, are 2 Texas licensed attorneys, and we are here every Tuesday on 106.1 and 104.5. And you can listen to us on irlonestar.com, but it's 104.5 and 106.1 FM in Conroe, Texas. And we are, as I said, 2 Texas licensed attorneys, and we do this show, The Legal Connection, as a public service to our listeners to help you through any kind of legal situation you may find yourself in, or just to answer your questions. You know, I know that people are interested. They like to watch movies about lawyers and what goes on with the law, and you find yourself at some point or another in your life facing some sort of legal situation, and we want to be there and help you and answer your questions. So today, Toni and I are going to try and finish our discussion on representing yourself. We call that pro se. That's trying your case or representing yourself in court without a lawyer, doing that yourself. We talked some about this last week. The reasons that people represent themselves or choose to represent themselves in court is because of money. Attorneys can be very expensive. But, you know, Toni, I know that a lot of people want to represent themselves in court because they've been burned by an attorney. They're just so mad that the last attorney they had, they paid all this money to, and feel like they didn't do anything to help them.
Or they've done it before, or they've seen the attorney that represented them do it, and they feel like they can do it on their own.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you what, we've gone over this on the last show we had a few months ago, when I went to Harris County Precinct 4.
Uh-huh.
She's telling me, she's pointing to my
Earrings and saying those are cute.
My all-time bestie BFF, Fran, gave me these
They're so
cross
cute.
Earrings for Easter.
Oh.
And I just feel like I got the Holy Spirit. I got crosses all over. So anyway, actually, I think I might have been representing her. I can't remember. But
Representing Fran?
yeah, maybe not. It was somebody else. But I'm at the Harris County Precinct 4 over there off Cypress Wood. Not a lot, but for some reason, when I take that back. I'm at all the different courts a lot. But in that particular precinct, they got flooded out by Harvey.
Right.
And for a long time, they had all of their hearings over off of Will Clayton Parkway.
Yeah.
And which I hated going all the way out there. It was awful. But what I learned when I went to a couple of these traffic settings was that that they were so behind because of Harvey that the word in the courthouse was basically, don't plead to anything, because it's more likely than
it'll get
not that your
dismissed.
officer will not show up, or they don't want to go to trial on it. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, all the cases that I did in that court, we held out, and it was really good because, and I will go over this a little bit, but if you have an attorney, attorneys get priority over people without an attorney, which is a really good reason to have one if you're too busy. But you also, it's what do you call six one way, half dozen
Half a
the other,
dozen the other.
and I never say that right, but I knew the numbers. If it would be about the same amount of money that you would pay your attorney that you pay the fine, then
Right.
are deferred, it'd be less trouble to get it dismissed if you have an attorney.
Mhm.
But anyway, everything got dismissed. But I'm not sure if they're still doing that over there anymore. They may have caught up.
Well, there are reasons that people represent themselves. We just talked about two of those. And there are reasons not to represent yourself. And I think you touched on some of that. I really believe that in criminal cases, people that have an attorney get more respect from the prosecution. And I think, like you said, if your attorney can get it dismissed, you may end up paying your attorney what you would have paid in court costs and fines and all of that, but you're not going to have to do it if you can get it dismissed. And you get more respect if you've got an attorney.
That, and if it's a more serious charge, then it's not just your simple rolling through a stop sign, or you've got like some heavy duty fines or a warrant out, then you really do need to get legal help.
Right.
Don't try to do this on your own. So even if you've had experience in civil court in a divorce, name change, or a simple lawsuit, it often isn't wise to go entirely on your own when charged with something a little bit more serious,
Right.
because attorneys know pretty much how to handle themselves in court, and they can evaluate it for you. So there's 3 ways that lawyers can help you. One, help you. I don't know why I said it like that.
Help choo-choo.
3 ways. Consult and advise. And I always say this to people. Before they hire me, I want to hear about their case. Before I step in and take your money, usually I'm talking to people on the phone, and I do a lot of free consultation, but you got to catch me because I'm so busy. I may not pick my phone up, or
Right.
you may not get a hold of me. So that's why I say email us at our website, and then I can get with you that way.
LegalConnectionShow.com.
Right,
Or
and we'll-
questions at LegalConnectionShow.com.
Right, and we'll definitely get back with you on that. And it's not like we're trying to get, advertised or anything like that. We are seriously here to help you. And if you have just a question and somebody else is charging you, we'll answer for free. And I'm telling you, if you look at my track record and yours too, I get a ton of dismissals because I fight to the bloody end, unless you're guilty and there's just
Right.
no way out.
Right.
And then you work with the prosecutor.
Oh, in
and get the
situations
best
like
deal.
that, that's right. I've gotten their fines reduced by
Yeah,
half.
being honest. To be honest, rather than trying to, play games with them or anything. So anyway, consult and advise. The lawyer can listen to the details of your situation, analyze your legal position, and give you the pros and cons of several alternate courses of action. And only an attorney is going to know that for the most part, unless you're a hardened criminal and you've been through this a lot, because we've gotten so many. That's what we do for a living. So
Right.
we do it not every day, but we've been through a lot over the last 20 years, and so we kind of know what will work and what won't. And so this kind of coaching is at the least expensive because it involves only an office call or an email to us, and depending on where you live, a charge of more than $100 for a half-hour consultation. If you do have to not use us or use somebody else, or even $200 an hour might be excessive. So find out the fee before you go in. We will answer it for free if you can get a hold of us. Now,
Right.
the other thing is if an attorney can negotiate for you. I know a lot of the prosecutors, and a lot of them went to South Texas or UT or Baylor, and they're new, and that's the first step. That's where they get thrown into, and I'm pretty talkative and
To
pretty
be a
friendly.
prosecutor.
And I'm a mom, and usually they're like my kids' age, and usually pretty bright and very friendly people. And
They are.
You can tell if they're in a bad mood or not, and you want to step back and say, let's just reset for another day. But for the most part, an attorney for more serious charges, you may be able to use a lawyer's skill and experience to help you negotiate with the prosecuting agency, not necessarily just the JP court. Often a lawyer's previous relationships with the prosecution and experience with plea bargaining can be helpful in limiting the price you might have to pay and the terms of the penalties. Always. And especially when I start talking their ear off and they've got other people in line. And we're talking in College Station, particularly in College Station, because we're all Aggies in our family.
Right.
And when I go down there and I just start talking about, all the coaches and Johnny Manziel and how horrible, his situation was. And I would never let my clients go through that. I would slap them around first, and then I've gotten most of my cases in College Station dismissed.
That's great.
Not so lucky in Austin. Maybe they can tell. I don't know. But still pretty good deals in Austin. Now, also, an attorney can represent you in court if you face driving under the influence charges, which wouldn't be JP court, but in misdemeanor court, or if it's your third time or more, felony court, you definitely want to hire an attorney for that.
Oh, definitely.
Because a lot of people call us and they just want to give up. And they're like, oh, well, I did it. Oh, no, I just represented a guy today in court. I barely got here on time, flying down from court. He was just like, I can't get the pretrial intervention. They've already got me on a trespass charge.
This wasn't his third DWI, though. It was his
no,
first,
no, this
right?
was the first. But he had he had been charged with with trespass. So normally you can't get a pretrial intervention if you've got a pending charge. And he was so drunk. His blood alcohol level was through the roof.
Well, see, for our listeners, the pretrial intervention in Harris County is the same thing as a pretrial diversion in Montgomery County. And it's where if you meet certain requirements, you got to spend a weekend in jail, you've got to do certain things, you can get that charge dismissed, even a DWI.
It's really, it's a privilege. You
It really is.
have to, your attorney's got to work it. You've got to work with your attorney. You've got to give
So
them all
much
the
work.
information. You have to have cooperated, which I'm not all about cooperating. A lot of times.
When you got pulled over with the police, you have to have cooperated.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes even then you can kind of work your way into it if you know the prosecutor, if they understand that you're doing the best for your client. And all the prosecutors know that that's what I strive for, is just like we say at the end of each show, serve God by serving others. I want more than anything else for my clients to have a clean record, and I'm going to kill it. So pretrial interventions, I will, if a lot of times they don't want to do it because you have to have the interlock. Almost always you have to have it for at least 6 months. I don't want to do that. I just want to do the time served and pay a fine. Oh, no. You get that pretrial intervention. You try to get it. You keep your record clean, because now the way they've changed the laws, you can, after it's dismissed, after 2 years, you can ask for an expunction. And you just really want to go for it if you qualify for it. So my guy today barely qualified for it, and we were getting ready to do the best we could and plead guilty about 4 months ago. And I was so surprised. I was just being myself. I was waiting in line to go do the plea. And that was right around the election time. And I was talking to a guy that had just been promoted to the head of the misdemeanor division. And he wasn't dressed like he looked like he was a defendant. He didn't even look like he worked there. He
No
was just in the
jacket or
courtroom.
anything?
And so I was chit-chatting with him. And, I was talking about going to mass and that kind of thing. And talking about my case. And he's like, well, have you tried the pretrial intervention on this? And we were getting ready to literally go plea. We had filled out all the paperwork. And I was like, no. And I was like, oh my God, get an attorney. If similarly, an experienced attorney may be able to help you, put you in a more efficient presentation to the prosecutor. It's going to be more organized. We know what to focus on, to tell them to get the best deal possible and what key points to look for and get to the best deal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We are here talking about being pro se or representing yourself in court. We've been just kind of giving you an overcap, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some resources for you and how to get evidence in at trial.
Does your company have needs that can be met by an employee who is dependable, hardworking, enthusiastic, motivated, cooperative, respectful, and punctual? Conroe Independent School District Special Education Department can meet your needs by connecting you with potential employees that have been preparing for a lifetime of employment. We have numerous individuals seeking paid and unpaid work experiences. If your company is interested in seeing how we can meet your business needs, call Conroe ISD Special Education Department to find the best employees for you at 936-709-7671.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question, comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station on irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Welcome back to the Legal Connection with Toni and Cheryl. Today, Toni and I are talking about representing yourself in court and pro se. We've been talking about advantages and disadvantages of hiring an attorney. I'll tell you what, Toni, I have a client that was, and you know her, pro se for a long time, didn't want to be, but couldn't find an attorney to represent her. Mm-hmm. And she actually, it was a legal malpractice, two legal malpractice cases. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I just really believe, I know that, I feel like the fact that she wasn't an attorney hindered her ability to represent herself, obviously. But I feel like the court was really hard on her. And
I know that case. I mean, that's so difficult because she's suing the very people that are in the court and are known. It's like going to Rome and suing the Romans. And then try to find a Roman that's going to say the Romans are bad. I mean, that's like impossible. But but she did. I mean, I remember the facts of that case. But I'm glad that you brought that up because finding an attorney was the next thing I was going to talk about. Mm-hmm. One of the best ways to find a good attorney is through a referral from a family member or a friend who has used one successfully. And that's not always possible. And sometimes you just don't want to involve others in your legal matters. But that's never been a case with my clients. They always involve me. And I'm like, please do not call me. I do not want to do anything more. I'm like, just don't get in trouble again. I don't want to represent you again. You're making me crazy. You can always start your lawyer search through like a lawyer directory. But you don't know who you're going to get. So 4 things to know before hiring an attorney to fight your ticket or any other way, okay? Mm-hmm. People are most scared right after they receive a serious ticket or a charge. Knowing this, some lawyers immediately ask as much as $5,000 for a retainer, $10,000, $20,000. Lawyers will look at you and size you up and say, this is what I'm going to get.
Oh, I have a client. I have a client that called me. He had a possession of marijuana charge, minor. Mm-hmm. He had called around attorneys, and they were telling him $4,000. Less than 2 ounces possession of marijuana charge.
It depends on what your driver's license said. If you live in the Woodlands, they're going to charge you $10,000 right up because they know that you've got it, and that they believe that the money is going to somehow buy you out of your way out of it. That's just not the way. Right. I hate to say that sometimes it can be like the Schmollett case, like we're going to talk about next week, which really aggravates me, but that's not the way it should be. It should be facts. And what was the thing you said on our break?
Oh,
I love that.
The old adage, when the law is not on your side, argue the facts. When the facts are not on your side, argue the law. If neither the facts or the law are on your side, bang on the table. That's
And
what
then-
attorneys
and
do.
they were saying,
And it
"Pray
works. And right.
pray."
Absolutely. And it works. Like you were talking about, you just don't let
because
up.
I was at the immigration court and nobody was getting a bond. And then, as we were saying, out of the 30 people that needed a bond, I got one. There were two out of 30 got a bond,
And they were both one was your client.
Yeah, one was my client, and there was no way that he was going to get a bond. He didn't have any of the equities. I mean, it was just like we talked about on the other show. It was so remote that he was going to get one, and even the prosecutor for the government was saying no, he doesn't deserve a bond, and I would not take no for an answer. I smiled, I pleaded. Every time I saw the judge's face sort of go like a frown, I started talking for my client, and he's like, "We let your client talk." And I'm like, "Well, if I can just interject," and I wasn't letting up until I got him a bond. I was that positive about it, and then we got a bond, and I was so happy.
Good
He
for
was- He was
you.
home for Easter, and
Yeah.
I was just, and then he went to mass. He told me he did anyway. I don't know for sure. Anyway, after so you have to pay this retainer. Months later, they often these clients will let me know that they pled guilty when they shouldn't have pled guilty. There was no reason for that. Their attorney didn't even work for them. So to prevent this, I mean, they didn't look at the facts. They took the easy way out. They just took their money. I hate that. To prevent this from happening, these are the rules for hiring an attorney. We've talked about this before, but just another little 4 bullet points to look at. Never hire an attorney in a hurry, okay? Nothing serious will happen in your case for at least a week or two. I mean, stay in jail. Do what you have to do, but find a good attorney. Check the references. Check the
Right.
bar side. Check
Right.
the clerk side. See how experienced they are. Ask questions. And by posting bail or pleading not guilty, you can further slow things down. If you can do that. And another thing is never talk to the prosecutor ever.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
Please just wait and talk
Yeah.
to your attorney first.
Absolutely.
They're your friend. The prosecutor may act like your friend, but they're not your friend. Okay.
Right.
So take your time. And second, know the charges. Make sure that you know what you're charged with and follow the techniques set forth in to determine what your winning strategy should be. You may not know what that's going to be, but some people don't know what they're charged with.
Yeah.
And if the policeman comes up to your car
Mhm.
and you don't know what you did wrong, don't open your mouth. And that was what the next thing I was going to say. I got a notice this weekend talking about tickets. I can't believe on Good Friday I got pulled over. And I did exactly what kind of textbook. I don't get pulled over often, but again, I got pulled over. And I saw the state trooper there, but I was listening to the radio and I didn't know if I was speeding or not. And it was really late at night on a Friday night. And I thought, well, maybe I did do something wrong. So I did exactly what you're supposed to do. Actually, I didn't. I pulled over to the center lane, which is not what you're supposed to do. And I realized that. So I put my right, I was on 1488. I put my right hand blinker on and went a couple of lanes over, but I got to the shoulder. I stopped. I pulled my insurance and I looked everywhere for it. I was fiddling around with it.
Yeah.
I got my insurance and my driver's license. And when he asked me to roll down the window, I was ultra polite. I said, I don't know what I was doing, but I'm sure whatever it was, you're going to let me know. And I kind of laughed about it because it was true. And he said, well, he told me that my headlight was out and that I didn't have a license plate on the front. And I said, guilty as charged. I said, I'm just like, well, whatever you need to do. And then he went to go write up my ticket. And I was looking for a prayer card because it was Holy Weekend. It was Easter weekend. It was Good Friday. And then I thought, oh, what should I get him? I couldn't find one. So I found one that said the 10 Commandments. And because I figured he may have kids, he looked kind of young. And he said he did. And so I gave him a prayer card. And I said, I didn't know if I was going to insult him or not, but he seemed like such a nice guy.
Right.
That I said, well, here's a prayer card. And his name was Officer Trooper Fratis. And he said, I'm just going to give you a notice. And he laughed when I told him that he'd need the 10 Commandments if he had kids under 18, which he did, because everybody knows if you've got kids under 18, they're going to break almost all the commandments except for murder and adultery and some of them because they just do dumb things. Little white lies are lies, and they disrespect their parents. They can't do that. They miss Sunday, going to church and that kind of thing. So anyway, he laughed about it and gave me the notice, and I was so grateful that he pulled me over because I would never have known that I had a light out.
Really?
And yes, I was very
Was
grateful.
it at night?
He was so nice. It was at night. It was 10:30 at night.
Oh, okay.
So I was in this juncture, I was very thankful that the trooper was so kind just to pull me over. I would have paid the ticket, but he gave me a notice. And then he gave me a notice. It was Good Friday, and it was a very good. This is a good thing all the way around. I was happy about it. Okay. That being said, that's how you act. You're polite. If you're guilty, be guilty. Tell the truth, the whole bit.
But
Now,
when they come up, they need to inform you what you did
yes,
that broke
and
the
you're
law.
not going to offer anything up. I just said guilty as charged because he told me it was wrong, and then when he told me, I knew I didn't have a plate on the front.
Right.
You know, if we're taking it off because I'd crashed into something. And then
I don't have a plate on the front of my car
Yeah.
either.
And
But I
then
don't think that's not a ticketable
yeah,
offense.
my son gets notices all the time and tickets for not having the front plate. And we just, go show them that we have a plate and we don't put it on, and then they don't fine you as long as you show them you have the plate. It's kind of crazy. But so anyway, the next thing you want to do before hiring an attorney is get an experienced attorney. Okay, make sure that the one you hire is experienced in traffic court, if it's traffic court, or DWI, if it's DWIs. If you go to traffic court, like if you get one, you might want to go to the court where you got the ticket to see who's there. They are there, the same attorneys over and over. They know the prosecutors, they know the judge, they know how to get.
That's good advice.
Very, very much so. In fact, when I go to traffic court, and I don't go to the courts a lot, I go sit down and I get to know the other attorneys. I'm like, how's this judge act? What does he do? But if you get someone that does it already, they may be able to bundle up for you and get you even a better deal. Okay. Don't pay or agree to pay a big fee, okay, up front at all. Instead, pay the lawyer a small amount to help you thoroughly evaluate your case, no matter what it is. Don't pay up front, all right? Then, much later, armed with all the facts, decide if you want to pay more to hire an attorney to represent you in court or represent yourself. Okay? Now, local counsel is always the best.
Right.
It's usually best to hire an attorney who routinely works in the court where your case will be handled, just like the lawyers around the Montgomery County Courthouse. They know the judges; they're always there. They're canoodling with them all the time. They're smoking cigars with them. I don't do that much here, but I can hold my own because I'm very diverse, just like you are. But if you don't know where to start right around the courthouse where you got the ticket or wherever you got the charge. Okay,
Right.
That's because local lawyers will know the idiosyncrasies of the judges and the prosecutors who will handle your case. Just being able to chat with these folks on a first name basis is a huge help for you.
It sure is.
For me too, but that's why I get to know the people that know the judges. It's kind of fun.
Right.
Participate in your defense. Very, very important. Some lawyers are pleased to explain all the legal aspects of your case and involve you in the good strategic decisions. That's what we always do. You've got to talk to your attorney because when you're just talking like we're chit-chatting right now, something's going to come up that you don't think is important
Absolutely.
as a client. Then and you run with it. Same thing happened when I was getting my guy as bond. He said something to me, and it was like, oh my gosh, thank you for telling me that. It was he went to HCC. My client had gone to HCC. And the more I talked with them, the more he was giving me equities that I didn't know about. Anyway, if you just kind of chit-chat them with like their people and not like the lawyers talking down to you, that's what you need to do. Participate in your defense. Talk with your lawyer. Don't talk with somebody who's way above you. Or at least talk with their receptionist if the lawyer is too busy to get the information out. Just kind of chit-chat with them, okay? Especially if you're handling some or all of your own case. This is really important that you kind of get this information out. Okay. Now, two more things. Beware of referral panels of the local bar associations. Lawyers listed by referral panels are not screened. And what I mean is, while you can get an excellent attorney this way, you may well end up paying to educate a lawyer who doesn't know as much as you do about your case. Because we're talking about like nolo.com or Avo, or just they're on a list. They get on some list.
But
they
the
pay
local
for.
bar, like Montgomery County has a local bar that people join. Maybe they have a
But
list
they
of
may be
attorneys.
somebody. They may have. That I'm not even a member of the local bar. I need to get on that. It may be hard to get on it, but it's also that if you like when I first got my bar, when I passed the bar, I remember I took a case for a guy that worked at the Cheesecake Factory, and I had never done a criminal case, but I was determined to help him, which I did. But I was a member of the Bar Association. I didn't really know what I was doing. I asked a lot of questions, but I probably was not the best person for him. But I did ultimately get his case dismissed, but it was scary for me and for him, I'll tell you that. Okay, finally, beware of a reduced, this is really important, beware of reduced fee legal plans. Some low-end prepaid legal plans purport to give members legal services at a reduced cost.
Right.
There are two problems with this. First, you have to go to a lawyer on the plan on the local panel who may know little or nothing about traffic court or what you have there. Okay?
Right.
Second, that's like the Obamacare plan. You've got to go not to someone that knows what they're doing, but just is checked off on the list, and that's why they're cheap, right?
Right.
Second, the fee discount is often an illusion. Often, with a couple of phone calls, you could negotiate the same fee with a real expert. The worst prepaid legal services plans provide for a free half-hour consultation with the lawyer, but little more. So you're really not getting legal services at all.
Yeah.
So that's the things you have to look at when you go hire an attorney. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we're going to take another break. Toni and I are here today. We're talking about representing yourself in court. And after the break, we'll get back and wrap it up.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app for your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That is Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Want to check out the fastest growing sport in the world? It's right here in Conroe, Texas, and it's roller derby. Conroe Roller Derby is a nonprofit recreational league of women and men who want you to come and check out the fast-paced, hard-hitting game of roller derby. The Conroe Cutthroats practice at Rainbow Roller Rink on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. You can find our game schedule and more information on our website, www.conroerollerderby.com.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
What is homelessness? Have you seen parents struggle to find a job without having transportation or childcare? What about the children sleeping in cars with nothing to eat? Families shouldn't have to struggle to survive, and children should not be homeless. Family Promise of Montgomery County serves the needs of homeless families and their children. Learn about ways you can help and learn about partnership opportunities at www.familypromiseofmc.org or call our day center at 936-441-8778.
Welcome back to the Legal Connection with Toni and Cheryl. We are here talking about representing yourself in court, or as you would be called if you represent yourself without an attorney, pro se. You would be a pro se party. You know, Toni, we were talking about that client of mine that was pro se for 2 legal malpractice cases. And she yesterday sent me a link to a website that I thought was fantastic. It's called, Juris Dictionary. You can go to Juris Dictionary, that's JURIS Dictionary.com, or howtowinincourt.com. And this attorney, I believe he's located in Florida. His name is Dr. Frederick Graves, and his wife Catherine helps him. He's got this incredible service for pro se parties. He's got all sorts of forms.
Does he cover Texas law also?
You know, yesterday I was looking at his site, and I believe there were some things about Texas, but he's got clients all over the country.
Well, the procedures and the strategies are pretty much the same.
They
from
really
state to state.
are.
There's some nuances, but not a lot. And all you'd have to do really is just Google whatever that Florida law is to find out what the comparable
what the Texas law is. Absolutely.
If in question.
But he's got forms. He's got like a 2.5-hour audio seminar. He's got a 5-hour video, 50-plus sample forms that are fully explained. And then he talks about property law, criminal court.
Attorney in a box.
Yeah. Summary judgment, how to win in family court, how to use stipulations, how to get in evidence, which is what we were talking about last week. And that's how to win in court.com or jurisdictionary. I was just really excited.
That's pretty good for people that have a lot of traffic. Oh, I forgot to add this last week too. For people that have a ton of tickets, and I have a lot of clients that have a ton of tickets. They're like, I have so many warrants out. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, oh my gosh. And they don't want to go to jail, but then they get picked up because they've got warrants out. They're not showing up for their tickets, and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
If I didn't say this before, I'll say it again. If you spend the night in jail with your ticket, it's going to wipe out all your tickets because that night in jail is like time served, at least in the city of Houston. So if you can show the city of Houston that Harris County picked you up, and usually you have to fill out, it's a motion that you can fill out online, and usually it's accepted from an attorney. So if y'all need some help, you can email us, and we can get you started or what direction to go. You email it directly to the judge with the information showing that you were in jail. Your fines get wiped out. Now, you do have a guilty, and you may have the moving violation, but you don't have to pay $6,000-$7,000 in fines. Because it could be that you were guilty of all those violations. And usually my clients don't have a driver's license or didn't have insurance, or they really did what they were accused of. Or they did run, oh yeah, I did get in a wreck, or I ran the red light or whatever.
Right.
If you've gone to jail, you can it's called a motion for time served. You can actually file this, and I've done it for a lot of my clients, and they just think I'm wonderful, and I'm really not. But if in doubt, if you've got a lot of tickets outstanding and you've gone to jail for something else, you want to look into seeing if you can file a motion for time served to get rid of all those tickets, at least the fines. So
that would
you
be
can
great.
get rid of the warrants.
Right.
Okay. All right. That being said, what is there something else you wanted to add about?
No, I just think that it's exciting that this Dr. Graves, he's like I said, he's an attorney.
Yes.
Is helping people.
Go look at that and pay that before you pay for a legal Zoom or one of these prepaid deals, because
it's a year subscription. That's my understanding.
Wow.
You can have access to all those documents for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to talk real brief. Let me find out how much time do we have, Station Manager Dick? 15 minutes. Oh, good. Oh, perfect. All right, so I don't have to speed through this like we always do. We were going to talk about, we didn't get to this last week, what your options are when you get a ticket. I mean, one option is don't try to talk your way out of it. Just be polite, because it's really going to be completely up to the officer, whether or not you're going to, get a notice or not. It just wasn't my time to get a ticket. But if I got it, I was going to go show the court that I fixed my light, and they would probably dismiss it once I showed them that. I would just have to take the time out. Or usually the way that JP courts work is you have to go before your hearing to take care of it. But again, if you have an attorney, it usually is a lot smoother. But you can go in there, and then they get up front, kind of negotiated off dock and that kind of thing. Okay, now, available options depend on individual circumstances, including what state you live in. Of course, this is Texas. And generally, decisions that you'll have to make relate to whether you want to sign up for not traffic school, but if you take the defensive driving, that's always going to be an option for you. Or contest the ticket, or hire an attorney to take it to trial, or negotiate for you. We've already talked about hiring an attorney. But almost always when you get a ticket, they're going to give you the option on the back of that form to do a deferred if you qualify for it. If you haven't done a deferred within the last year, and you're not under a certain age or whatever. There's certain courts have certain requirements, but it's really easy to meet. And I'll tell you what, my daughter was getting tickets right and left. I have no idea why, but she was just like a magnet because she was driving a lot. And she'd always take the deferred to different counties, and they didn't have a database like the.
And when you say deferred, you're talking about the defensive driving class.
The defensive driving class, yeah. They used to get it deferred, so it gets dismissed. You have to agree to pay some fine and not get in trouble for 30 days, 90 days, whatever. And you've got to do a defensive driving if it's a traffic ticket. You can also get and then it'll be dismissed. So they hold it active until they actually dismiss it. It's a little different in county court or misdemeanor county or district court, because a deferred may, if it's anything over a Class C and you're not here legally, or you're here on a a visa or you're not a citizen, it
Mhm.
may affect your ability to stay. And I have lots of clients that, are here on work visas and that kind of thing.
Right.
So you don't want to do a deferred before you talk to an attorney or your immigration attorney by any means. Very,
Right.
very important if you're here on a work visa or if
Mhm.
you know somebody that is helping you or working for you that's on a work visa and they're driving and get in trouble, call us. Don't do anything until you call because it's really, really important. That deferred is not the same to the federal government as it is to the state government. So
Mhm.
important thing to look at. Now, in Texas, in Montgomery County, you can take these defensive driving courses online. A lot of times the court won't let you take it online though. And a lot of times they're hard because you have to actually answer the questions and answer the
That's
test.
true.
But there's a
Mhm.
lot of them, they're only like $25 and you don't even have to be looking at it to take it. So kind of shop around if
Mhm.
you've taken them. But as long as you take it, you just have to show that you've taken it. So, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of different ones available out there. For eligible motorists, it is a way to keep a violation off the record and avoid associated insurance rate hikes. Because if you plead guilty or if you don't do the deferred right, just like we talked about last week,
Mhm.
the DPS will get notice and you're going to get the surcharge. So
Mhm.
make sure that you get with the prosecutor if you're handling it on your own, that this deferred is going to show that it was dismissed, that it's not going to show that you had a moving violation. All right.
Right.
Most states that have traffic school, and it's called traffic school, allow drivers to participate only once every 12 to 18 months. So look at that. You want to be honest.
Mhm.
She like my daughter did. Excuse me. And the traffic school isn't available for certain types of traffic violations. If you're going 120 miles down the road,
Yeah, you
and
don't
that's one
qualify.
of your,
Mhm.
or if you've got drug paraphernalia in your car, and that some of the times those are also Class C, or if you had public intoxication, which is not even a traffic violation, but it's a JP court deal. It's probably not going to be available to you, so be real
Mhm.
careful. I'm handling a case right now that's a Class C, but it's mutual combat. It's assault, but it's a Class C, so it's a JP court. But you may be able to get it deferred for that, but it depends on the prosecutor. So
Right.
it's all relative. An attorney may be somebody you want to talk to you before you do anything first in a situation like that. Because assault and theft, like a shoplifting, that's also a Class C, is a crime of moral turpitude, and that comes out later. You will never get rid of that. So be
No.
really careful.
And you have to
on those.
report that to certain entities too. Crime of moral
Yes,
turpitude.
yes. Those are really, really
I
important.
just cannot believe they made theft a crime of moral turpitude. You
Well,
know?
I mean, yeah, but you know what? When you're growing up, you're not supposed to take those earrings from
Yeah, but
from
so
Claire's.
what? I mean, charging these people this stuff where they've got to go around and report it and stuff like that because they had sticky fingers when they were.
Maybe they're klepto. I represented a lady that was from like the Middle East somewhere about 2 years ago, and she was a gypsy. She was like stealing salmon, like and putting it in her purse and
You mean like
grapes.
whole fish?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And like trying to get out of HEB, and they caught her on, and she had money. She's just a klepto. She said that we actually got her off. We got it dismissed. She was getting deported too because she did it so many times. I mean, after you steal so many times, it becomes a felony. It doesn't matter what the level is.
Really?
$2 theft, and it's still a felony if you do it enough. And we finally had a psych evaluation because she was depressed and she was stealing. She was depressed, but she was a little klepto. I mean,
Really?
and HEB, Walmart, they don't take any prisoners.
Yeah.
Target, HEB, Walmart,
Yeah.
you steal from them, you're going
Oh,
down.
yeah. Well, can you
So,
imagine
don't be
how many
doing that.
millions of dollars
And
they
that's why, though.
lose?
Because
Yeah.
you can't do that.
You've
Okay.
got to be
So
tough.
those are the ones that you think that you can get away with it because everybody shops here. Oh, no. The ones that are open on Easter and those are the worst ones. So don't be
Yeah.
stealing from them.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, whether to fight a ticket or not. If you can't or don't want to do the deferred because you don't qualify or if they don't offer it, you will have to decide whether to contest your ticket. Lots of drivers don't bother fighting. They just pay the citation and move on. But that's not a good idea, just like we
Yeah.
just discussed.
Mhm.
It may go to the DPS and you'll have the surcharge. Paying a ticket is definitely the easiest way of resolving the situation. But whether it's the right choice depends on the circumstances.
Right.
Okay. So in most states, you can avoid having to go to court by paying your ticket online or through the mail. But there are drawbacks to handling it this way because if you're going to pay the maximum possible fine instead of trying to get a negotiation, your insurance rates may go up.
Mhm.
And you may have a chance of beating the ticket. So generally, there are two ways of winning your case. The judge could find you not guilty, or the officer might not show up for court. Okay, so you have to kind of gamble a little bit here. But to dispute a citation, you typically need to go to traffic court at least once and show up and
Mhm.
plead not guilty,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
You can't do that over the mail.
Right.
Traffic court, because then they'll give you a warrant if you don't show up. Traffic court is generally in session only during business hours, so you have to show up. And there's a lot of people if you don't hire an attorney, so you're going to be waiting for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But it may be worth
Hours.
it to you.
Yeah.
So for many people, going to court means missing work or school.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when my clients are missing work or school because that means that they've got money to pay me. So for those who can't take a day off, hire an attorney to handle your case is another option unless you've done it before and you've been able to, you can analyze it on your own. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hire an attorney, whether hire an attorney is another important decision. For drivers who opt to plead guilty or to take the defensive driving, hire an attorney might not be worth the expense because you've already decided what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already discussed that. But for those who want to contest their citation, there are a number of benefits to having legal representation, just like we discussed before. You typically won't have to go to court yourself. A lot of times my clients don't have to show up. I show up for them.
Mm-hmm.
I knew all the negotiation for them because in traffic court, they're not asking you to say you're there.
Mm-hmm.
I say present for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. Okay, so you ask first because court, you may not even have to miss work for that, just for that one time. And I'll go the rest of the times, or your attorney may show up for you the rest of the times. You typically won't have to go to court yourself, and an experienced traffic attorney might have a better shot at beating the case for you at trial and knowing how the judges, how they'll rule in certain cases, depending on what the facts are. Now, I believe that we went over last week whether or not you can beat the case, and just in a nutshell, and just to recap. You're not going to beat a traffic case if it's a speeding ticket and the officer shows up and it's a small city and it's a speed trap, because he's more likely not going to show up. However, if you get it reset enough times, the officer may not show up because and if it's during a vacation time and it's reset, the officer is going to be on his own spring break. He may not show up, so you want to take your chances.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened to my the client that I got dismissed last week because he told the judge, because I really was out. He said, I've got an attorney. It's set for trial, and it was reset.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just rolling through a stop sign. It was really dumb. And he knew how busy they were, and I coached him on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have any evidence. And I said, look, you tell them you've got an attorney, and you look at the evidence yourself. You tell them you're going to represent yourself if you have to go to trial, but you've got an attorney, and you feel like your rights are being violated. And they don't want to hear all that stuff anyway. They don't want to go to trial on this stuff unless it's something really bad, not for something minor like that. And even though the officer was there, my client is so clean cut, and he was so nice. He was very polite. He wasn't arguing with them. If you argued with him, that police officer's now got a chip on his shoulder.
Right.
He's gonna want to see you go down.
Uh-huh.
And that's another thing I wanted to go over quickly. Defenses that will things that will help you win. Okay, and consider these viable defenses if you're representing yourself. Okay, one, did the officer stop the right car? Okay, if there's a bunch of cars speeding and he didn't have his camera, and there's no evidence in the file showing that he had his camera on, he may not have stopped the right car, particularly if it's radar or the different ways they stop you. He may not have been in a position to know if it was you speeding. Okay, so first you want to find out your ability to claim that he didn't stop the right car, but it was heavy traffic, a construction project, there was a curve in the road, the officer lost sight for a while, they don't have any evidence in the file. That's the first thing you want to look at. Just read the file, read it thoroughly, all right? Were you charged with speeding when you were driving safely, even though you were driving over the speed limit? In a number of states, including Texas, the law says that it's legal to drive slightly over the speed limit, at least 10%, depending on what the speed limit is.
Right.
The posted speed, as long as you can prove the conditions were safe when you were doing it. You can get out of your ticket that way, okay? And you won't be found guilty, all right? Was there actual provable error in the officer's approach or methodology in citing you for speeding? Did the officer correctly pace your vehicle? If you know anything about pacing, read up on it. Okay. If he used radar, like I was saying before, radar, laser, VASCAR to establish your speed, you're going to need to look that up and see if you can prove it. Now, I've been to trials, and it's really hard without an expert to win with laser, radar, sonar, because the judge isn't going to find in your favor unless you've got someone that knows exactly how that all works.
Right.
Or you've been found guilty before and you know how it works. Or
Yeah.
you're a rocket scientist, you probably could do your own case.
Mhm.
In that case, usually rocket scientists are not the best attorneys, but in this situation, they might be. Okay. Realize that generalized statements about possible inadequacies of radar or laser techniques almost never result in beating your ticket. So
Yeah.
you need something tangible and that's what we talked about before in getting your evidence introduced, like publications that you can use. You might be able to convince a jury if you pick one
Mhm.
that they couldn't prove it. Particularly when they say they had radar and the radar is like on a T and the radar doesn't work like that if you read up on it. So do a
Right.
little research. It's all on
Mhm.
Google. All right. Do any other legal defenses exist to the law that you're charged with violating? For example, if you were charged with driving too slowly in the left lane or a multi-lane highway, in most states, it's legal defense that you were planning to turn left. So
Mhm.
you need to look at all the defenses you might have. Now, I wanted to make a list of things that will never, ever work. Don't use these defenses because it won't work for you. Okay, first. If you claim you were honestly mistaken about the law, that will never work.
Yeah,
Because not knowing
doesn't
the law
matter.
For
Mhm.
example, if you tell the judge that you honestly thought it was okay to slow down instead of stopping the blinking red light, sorry, ignorance of the law is not an excuse for breaking the law. Okay, next thing. You argue your violation didn't harm anybody. Never going to work. Sorry, you are still legally required to stop at the red light at 3 a.m. even if no one was harmed. Doesn't work. Okay. Another one. You complain. The officer was picking on me.
Yeah.
Why are they picking on me? I mean, if you really want to rub them the wrong way, the officer's in that court all the time. Don't
Mhm.
pick on the officer.
Mhm.
Remember, it's best. Just like Jesus said, you're not going to say bad things about people. Take the high road. All right.
Mhm.
You tell a sympathetic story. Forget it. Your sympathetic story is never going to work. Ever. At best, the judge may reduce your fine a little bit. It won't work. Or if you say the officer's lying, forget it. Don't ever say the officer's
Never.
lying.
Yeah.
Okay. If the officer doesn't show, more than likely your case will be dismissed, though. That's the way you can try to get around it, all right?
Mhm.
The further the officer is from the courthouse, the less likely he is to show. The more serious the violation, the more likely he is to show. An officer isn't likely to appear during a vacation. So if the odds are that if the officer won't show up for those reasons. There you have
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, so what do you think, Tony? Next week you want to find out about the Smollett case, and we can talk about the hate law legislation that's, I think it was the Senate, the Congress that was
We
on
are going to go
C-SPAN.
over the Smollett case for sure next week because I am offended, just like the Chicago police force is offended by everything that went on with that,
Right.
as well as the federal, the federal versus the state and the Smollett case, and even these hate crimes with Sri Lanka, all the killings over Easter. I'm incensed that our politicians can't say that Christians were being persecuted, and instead they said it was just Easter killings.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to be here next Tuesday from 12 to 1 on 104.5 and 106.1. You can message us on Facebook, the Legal Connection Show on Facebook, and we want you to always remember
to serve God by serving others.
Have a great week, guys.
Thanks for checking out this show on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. This show is owned and produced by Lone Star Community Radio and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. For more information about the show, to be a guest, or to sponsor, just contact the studio at 936-647-3776 to leave a message, or email us at lscrstudios@gmail.com.
Douglas Corner Cafe proudly presents Sugar Hill recording artist Guy Clark.